Can someone online confirm that you can hear us in the room?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
I can hear you.
Jeremy's on.
Sound just stopped.
I am aware.
Whatever you did, it stopped.
I'm aware.
Oh, thank you.
You could make the town office from the host and then later to go to. Jeremy, can you hear us?
Yeah, sure can.
Fantastic. Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. In the absence of Chair Dunay, the town clerk will take the roll call. Councillor Higgins,
Here.
Councillor Danforth, here. Councillor Madore,
Here.
Councillor Bragdon,
Present.
Councillor McGlowan, here. Councillor Pelletier.
Here.
If I can have everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remove all hats, please. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for those who are joining, especially via Zoom. We're having technical difficulties, so we are moving forward. With the chair absent, I will ask for nominations for Pro Chair Tem. Do I have any nominations?
Yes, excuse me, I nominate Councilor Madore as Chair Pro Temp.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, it's been moved and seconded that Council Madore has been nominated for Pro Chair Tem of this council for 9/28/2023. All those in favor, please signify. Those opposed, none. 6-0. Council Madore is elected chairman of this council for 9/28/2023. You may take over, sir. You're welcome.
Great. Oh.
Very good. Thank you all. Let's move along to Mr. Manager. Is there any adjustments to the agenda?
I would request that order number 233 follow directly after order 221.
Very good. I'm seeking approval of the minutes for the July 27th, 2023, August 10th, August 24th, September 14th, regular meeting, August 22nd, and September 12th, executive sessions.
So moved.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded. Any council discussion? Public? Oh, sorry, Councilor Bragdon.
If I'm reading this right, just so the public is aware, especially those on Zoom, there were two amendments to July 27th, 2023 and September 12th, 2023.
There were. Thank you for catching that. Anything, anybody else? Down to the public. Back to the council, all those in favor? Unanimous. All right, special presentation. Lorna Thompson, our assessor, explaining the FY 24 commitment. It is all yours.
Good evening. Good to be with you. My apologies. I had COVID, so I couldn't attend, or you probably didn't want me to attend the last meeting when the orders were placed there. We have completed the tax commitment for this year. We will be posting some information on the town's website to help taxpayers be able to see that information. The rate actually went down this year to 28.20. That does not necessarily mean that there will be a reduction in the tax bills for many, because we had to do another adjustment to our valuation. So for this year, in order to maintain our 100% valuation, we adjusted all building values throughout town up 13%. The sales are still continuing to climb. We may have to do another adjustment next year in order to stay in compliance. In regards to the tax stabilization program, we had about 390 applicants. 372 were approved for a tax savings for those individuals in total of 429,000, which the state will reimburse us. The ones that were denied, there were a few that didn't qualify. They hadn't owned a home in Maine for 10 years. Some of them applied too late. Just a varied reason. Some people unfortunately passed before the April 1st deadline of this year. So that is the basis of the commitment, or the basics of it. I'm not sure what else anybody would like to know, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Anybody have any questions for the assessor? I don't have a question, but I do have something that I had shared with the manager. And if anybody has been following in the Lincoln News, the town of Howland right now has gone ahead and found that they were much in the same way. They haven't done a reval in a lot of years, and their valuation is way off from their actual. So much so that the town of Howland has gone ahead and had to do a 38% increase this year. And just to get this year's without losing any pre-growth, homestead, all the things that they would basically get paid back from the state of Maine for the community. So it's a very real situation we're facing. We're not in a situation quite as Howland is. Their estimate was off something like 91% from the actual sale price of homes to what they had down as assessed. So, but we're not in that position. However, this is going to help to rectify the situation moving forward so that we don't find ourselves in that type of situation that Howland is in, and they're not the only community in this way. So thank you very much for doing this and catching it as early as you have. I asked, I know it's been explained before, but we will have questions as far as mill rate as compared to valuation. Would you explain how these things are? Someone who see a lower mill rate but see their taxes go up this year, will you explain how that is happening?
Certainly. It's a mathematical calculation. So it's valuation and budget, which gives you the mill rate, or the percentage, basically, dollar amount per thousand that each individual is liable for taxation, not including exempt property, obviously. So generally, when the valuation goes up, the mill rate will go down in that calculation, or vice versa. If you have to bring, as you had many years ago, bring your value down, then your mill rate goes up.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything for the assessor? Very good. Thank you very much for the explanation. Now, would somebody, let's see. Councilor Higgins, would you please read order 220-2023?
Yes.
order 220-2023. Sorry, tabled order. 220-2023, table to September 28th, 2023, providing for commitment of FY 24 property taxes. It is ordered that the fiscal year 2024 property taxes be committed, and the due date for the first half payment is 30 days after the commitment date.
Second.
It's been motioned by Counselor Higgins, seconded by Counselor McGowan. Any council discussion? From the public? Back to the council, all those through? It's unanimous. Counselor McGowan, would you please read order 221-2023?
Yes, thank you. Tabled order number 221-2023, providing for setting the mill rate for FY 24. It is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council set the FY 24 mill rate at 28.2%.
Second.
It's been motioned by Counselor McGowan, seconded by Counselor Higgins. Any council discussion? Did everybody get the fact that mill rate is going to be set at 28.0%? Ready? Okay. Down to the public. Back to the council, all those in favor? Unanimous. I'd like to move order 223 up to, and ask Counselor Danforth, will you please read?
Excuse me, yes, Mr. Chairman, bear with me, it's a long order. Order number 233-2023, providing for amendment to the personnel policy to provide for temporary employees.
Mr. Chairman, I move we move the reading. Skip the reading.
Second.
I think it's
Are you, may I ask, are you asking for the entire reading to be skipped or just the whereas
The entire thing.
for the entire? And motion has been made and seconded to skip the reading of the order and go right to the vote. Any council discussion? Counselor Bragdon.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to amend the order to strike. It is further ordered that the town clerk is directed to have the pages of the personnel policy in the Millinocket Code replaced as necessary with the new pages to reflect this order and to distribute new pages to individuals and entities known to have copies of the code to update the Millinocket Code on the town website when new pages are available.
Is there a second to the amendment? Counselor Bragdon is looking to further omit the paragraph after that's after number 1, where it says it is further ordered the town clerk is directed to have, that's on page 3. And have that paragraph stricken. And I'm looking for a second. Motion made by Counselor Bragdon, second by Counselor Pelletier. Any council discussion? Counselor Bragdon.
We had a discussion before me and Hunter did and you. This has nothing to do with the Millinocket Code. The personnel policy, from my understanding, has nothing to do with the Millinocket Code, and I think that's unfair to have that in here, and it's extremely misleading to have that posted in here that it has anything to do with the Millinocket Code. Thank you.
Thank you. I agree with you. Any other discussion on the amendment? Counselor Pelletier.
Yeah, it seems that is already a duty of the clerk. Really redundant to have it in here. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the amendment?
I'll second the amendment.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anything from the public? Back to the council, all those in favor of striking the paragraph stated in the order? All those in favor? Opposed? 5-1. That paragraph will be stricken. Now, it has been moved and seconded to go ahead and not have the reading of the order itself. We're all those in favor of not having the order read as it is presented? I guess we're going to read it. Counselor Danforth, if you would, please.
Providing for amendment to the personnel policy to provide for temporary employees. Whereas the town has not undergone a town-wide review of its real estate parcels for tax assessment purposes in over 30 years. And whereas the town's assessing records have not been systematically updated since the last town-wide revaluation and no longer reflect the current status of properties within the town. And whereas the availability of firms capable of inspecting properties within the town and providing current market values of the properties within the town on a cost-effective basis and in a timely manner is limited at best. And whereas the town needs to proceed to update its assessing records in order to provide fair tax assessments for its citizens and to comply with Maine law. And whereas the assessor is not able to inspect, review, and update all the properties in the town and is need of assistance in order to update the town's assessing records to allow current tax assessment of the properties. And whereas in light of current circumstances, it is in the best interest of the community for the town to provide temporary assistance to the assessor as provided herein. And whereas the personnel policy does not have provisions concerning temporary employees, and the personnel policy needs to be amended in that regard. Now, therefore, it is ordered that pursuant to section A 128.1.e of the personnel policy, the definition of part-time employee and section 128.2 of the personnel policy is replaced with the following definition. Part-time employee. A part-time employee is anyone who works or is scheduled to work on average 39 hours or less per week on a continuing basis over the course of a calendar year, or anyone who works less than the regularly established number of hours per day, days per week, or week per month assigned to that position for full-time employees. Part-time employees shall be paid for hours actually worked. Part-time employees are entitled to benefits required by law, including Social Security, workman's compensation, paid leave, family medical leave, and unemployment compensation. For those whom the town expects to work less than a full-time work week as defined above, there shall be no benefits other than those required by law. It is further ordered that pursuant to section A 128.1.e of the personnel policy, the definition of seasonal employee and is in section A 128.2 of the personnel policy is replaced with the following, and the definition of temporary employee is added as follows. Temporary and seasonal employee. A. Temporary employees. Temporary employment is employment to accomplish a specific task or tasks on an intermittent basis or for a standard work week or less on a regular basis, but in all cases for a definite and limited period of time. Temporary employees receive no other benefits except those required by law. Temporary employees are not permanent employee positions, not permanent employment positions with the town, and are subject to funding for the position as determined by the town council. The term of employment for a temporary employee ends if the position is not funded. Seasonal employees. Seasonal employees are appointed on an annual basis at the same manner and are subject to the same procedure as regular full-time employees, except that they will be laid off at the close of the season for which they have been appointed and the position funded in the budget. Temporary and seasonal employees shall be paid for hours actually worked and shall be eligible for only benefits required by law, such as Social Security, workman's compensation, paid leave, family medical leave, and unemployment compensation, but not for any other benefit under the personnel policy or any other town policy. It is further ordered that pursuant to section A 128.1.e of the personnel policy, that section A 128-3.1 is added to the personnel policy as follows. 1. Temporary employees are hired for a specific task and term. Such employees shall not establish seniority rights, nor will they be eligible for vacation, sick leave, or any other benefits that the town offers, but are entitled to those benefits required by law, such as Social Security, workman's compensation, paid leave, family medical leave, and unemployment compensation. Temporary employees are assigned to a specific department of the town, report to the department head unless otherwise directed by the town manager, and perform a specified task for a specified term, and the town manager approving a job description for each temporary employee or class of temporary employees. It is further ordered that the town manager is authorized to hire 3 temporary employees to assist the assessor in updating the town's assessment records for each property within the town, other than tax maps. It is further ordered that the town manager is authorized and directed to consult with the human resources director and assessor to prepare job descriptions for the temporary employees. And it is further ordered that pursuant to section A 128-3.a of the personnel policy, that the maximum compensation for the temporary employees is $62.50 per hour as determined by the town manager based on the qualifications of each temporary employee. And it is further ordered that the treasurer is directed to create line E 0113-0393 town revaluation, temporary assessing services, temporary employees as part of the general administration budget and financial records of the town. It is further ordered that the treasurer is directed to transfer $51,120 from the municipal revaluation line of the assigned fund balance to the department budget line E 0113 town revaluation, and then further to the temporary assessing services temporary employees and the employee benefit expense budget lines to partially fund the temporary employees through June 30, 2024. And it is further ordered that $2,500 is transferred from the municipal revaluation line of the assigned fund balance to line E 0113-4041 town revaluation, business/miscellaneous expense to partially fund other related expenses approved by the town manager through June 30, 2024. It is further ordered that the town manager is authorized to take all action necessary to implement this order.
We have a second? It's just, great. Thank you very much, Councilor Danforth, for that. It was rather long. You did very well. Any discussion on the order? Seeing none from the public? Back to the council. All those in favor of order 233-2023? Opposed? As amended. Yes. And 1 opposed, so 5-1. Thank you. All right, now, special presentation. We have Wolf Den Mining, who's going to come up and do a presentation for us, so certainly.
Sure, my name is Jonathan Seavey, and I work with Bolton. We have Jeremy Willett, who's the VP of,
Okay.
and he's going to do a little presentation via Zoom tonight.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Yeah,
Jeremy,
thank you.
get set.
All yours.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for having us. I guess, am I coming in fairly clear?
Can you bear with us a moment, Jeremy?
There.
Yep.
There was a second.
Who seconded the actual order
Your order was,
before the question for amendment? It wasn't seconded. You seconded it.
Councilor Bragg, right.
Thank you.
And back to you, Jeremy.
That's okay. Thank you so much. Can everybody see, I guess, the presentation that I have up on the screen? I just have a few slides I'd like to go through. Okay, great. So once again, thanks for having us. My name is Jeremy Willett. I'm the Vice President of Project Development with Wolfson Resources. What I'm hoping to do today is give a bit of insight on, a project that we're proposing. It's a mineral extraction project called Picket, and then kind of run through sort of where we're at in that proposal and a few of the next steps that are coming up. And then certainly at the end of this, I'm certainly open to any sort of questions that come across. So in terms of location, I think it's important to comment. So the Pickett project is it's a polymetallic zinc primary, small state-of-the-art underground proposed mine. It's located about 9 miles north of Patton, Maine, off of Route 11. In this green box here with a little picket inside of it, that is a 7,000 acre parcel of land that Wolfton Resources, the company, the host company, owns. And then if you look to the right image here, there's another yellow boundary in there. That yellow boundary is what we've submitted to the Land Use Planning Commission, rezone a portion of this property from general management to planned development. The reason for that is that, under a planned development, that's where we could apply then for a mining permit under the DEP's strict Chapter 200 rules. So in terms of the site itself, so this dark outline here is represented by that yellow outline in the previous slide. And this is just a little bit of detail of what would be going on within that footprint. So as proposed, most of the work would be taking place in this blue area. Now, in terms of actual area, the overall footprint here is 374 acres. The actual, we call it cleared footprint, where we actually have to be working is about 129 acres. And majority of that is within this blue. Now, 50 acres roughly is a proposed solar field. And that may or may not happen. So, but most of the work is happening in this roughly 50-acre area. So the types of infrastructure that we're talking about is a small opening to underground, and I can get into that in a second. But stuff like shop buildings, a small office, security building, some laydown pads, and some ponds and a water treatment plant. If the proposal gets approved and we end up moving forward several years away, we would end up having sort of a secondary stage of the mine life where in roughly year 3 or 4, we would move some of the infrastructure over to this new area to access some deeper spots in the deposit. So I mentioned earlier we'd have a small opening. It's called a portal, and this is really sort of the area of impact for the mine. It's super small, roughly 64 by 100 feet. It's about the size of a municipal or an industrial garage. And for scale, in the bottom left here, there's a little white half ton. So we're not talking about like a large excavation by any means. It's rather small. And then from this portal, we drive a series of 16-foot by 16-foot cross-section tunnels. And that's what you can see kind of straight ahead. The cartoon to the right just kind of shows how we would drive those tunnels in a declined fashion. So we'd run this helix down to the desired elevation and then drive the same size tunnels over into what's called the ore body or the deposit. And that ore body is where the metals that we're after are hosted. So the zinc, there's a little bit of copper in there, some lead, and some silver and some gold. Essentially what takes place is after we've developed and we've gotten into the deposit, we use a series of drills. So we drill holes, we charge it with explosive, we blast and fragment the rock. Once the rock's fragmented, then we use low profile front-end loaders. Essentially, we call them scoop trams in the industry, but they're front-end loaders. They go grab some of these broken rocks, they load it into a low profile truck, and those haul trucks, they haul the material straight up to surface. And that's, the quick and dirty of the mining process. I think it's important to kind of talk about why, why we're talking to people and why would people be interested in being a stakeholder? Why would they be interested in the Pickett project? Certainly speaking to more local communities, I think that the effect of a project like this would be a little bit more substantial. But frankly, on the training and employment side of things, there's a significant discussion to be had in the Millinocket region, East Millinocket region, reaching up to Presque Isle and Holton, essentially, to the outer boundaries of Aroostook and Penobscot counties. So the project is about I'll get into timeframes, but call it 5 years of permitting. Then we got a couple years of construction. Then we've got a 10 to 15 year steady state operation with 3 years of reclamation at the back end of that. So call it 20 to 25 years overall. During that steady state phase of the project, we're looking at about 270 jobs altogether. And one of the discussions I have very regularly is, well, there's no current mining skill set in Maine and all that sort of stuff. Which frankly, I tend to disagree with, because the skill sets that we're looking for are very similar to the skill set that exists in northeastern Maine. So, I mentioned front end loader operator. If you can operate it on surface, you can operate it underground in a tunnel. But a lot of these jobs are very transferable. We need basically any industrial skill set. We need welders, mechanics. We need accountants, we need human resources, everything that you could think of. But on top of that, we are proposing, basically a training program. It would end up being a 12-week training program. Been in communications with several facilities, community colleges and vocational schools, just kind of talk about what that structure would look like. But we do have a program that has been implemented in the past. It's worked quite well. And I really think that because we have such a long time frame between now and the theoretical approval, we have some time to train people and get that, get the number of local jobs up. And certainly, by the end of year 2, maybe into year 3 of operation, I suspect that we can be majority complement local. Local meaning from those boundaries of the 2 counties. What we're looking at doing, the jobs that we're talking about, and the reason why I think we can access, further away down into Millinocket is because of the schedule that we're proposing. We're proposing a 1 week on, 1 week off working schedule, and that would be for 10.5-hour shifts. So I really do think that, people become very clever when it comes to these types of projects where, like you get a few people that carpool, or someone hires a 12-passenger fan, that sort of thing, to get people up and back quickly. But frankly, you're about half the year. And after working about half the year, your earnings are, upwards to 6-figure, $90,000 to $100,000 a year on average. So the employment earnings, again, so this is within the outreach of the 2 county boundaries. We're looking at around $230 million over the duration of the life in terms of employment earnings. So then moving over to community engagement, I think it makes a lot of sense for us to, have these types of conversations, make sure that we're being super transparent, answering questions that are out there, but also working with the communities that are surrounding us in terms of, how do we, become partners with these communities, and, how do we support growth of local business? How do we support, infrastructure improvements and that sort of thing. And then frankly, moving towards the economic benefits outside of those, there's increased tax revenues, sales tax revenues. We've discussed community benefits agreements or host benefits agreements, and local project funding and that sort of stuff as well. We had a fellow out of Yarmouth, Stepwise Consulting. He's an economist, did an evaluation of the project, and the long story short is, over the duration of the project, it's looking like about just under $700 million in economic output over the duration of the project within the boundaries of Aroostook and Penobscot counties. So I wanted to lean in a little bit more, and again, certainly open to questions, but I wanted to walk through where we're at in the application process and discuss a little bit around the Land Use Planning Commission. So where we are, and our land ownership is in unorganized territory, the zoning for that territory is managed by the Land Use Planning Commission. And the overall permitting for a mining project in Maine since Chapter 200, which is the most rigorous mining regulation that there is, it essentially boils down to a two-step permitting process. So step one is submit a zoning petition for consideration and processing by the Land Use Planning Commission. And that includes, the total project scope, considerations for environment, economic consistency with the club, natural character, all that sort of stuff. Depending on how that goes, the Land Use Planning Commission staff accepts the zoning petition as complete after thorough review, and then they submit it to third-party technical consultants and other state agencies. So everything is reviewed by third parties. After the review is complete, then the staff moves to the commissioners initiating a public hearing process. And that's exactly where we are right now. We're kind of at the back end of that stage. So leading up to the public hearing, and I think it's a good place to point out that the public hearing has been scheduled. It's scheduled for October 16th through 18th, and it's actually scheduled at Stearns High School. But leading up to the public hearing, a petition has to go through, this public hearing process, which includes, public comments are completely open, both written and verbal during the public hearing. But written public comment period is open now until a couple of months after the hearing. There is open intervenership, so interveners can apply to be an intervener and they're accepted. We have one intervener in favor of the project, one intervener in opposition to the project right now. But those interveners will act, they'll bring on witnesses to submit testimony, they're cross-examined. It's very similar to a court hearing. Once the interveners are selected, date and venue is selected, which has been done now. It says 3 to 5 days, but it's settled on 3 days with one extra night, a third night in Bangor. And then the venue is selected, which, as I mentioned, is Stearns High School. Before the hearing, there is a list of topics for discussion at the hearing submitted, and then a list of witnesses that are submitted by each of the interveners and us, the applicant. That's all been completed. Pre-file testimony submitted. So now that all of this is straightened out, we get into the public hearing on the 16th. It's going to be 3 days in duration. And I mentioned earlier, it's going to be similar to like a court hearing where the 9 Land Use Planning Commission commissioners act as, the judge and jury. So during the day, so from morning till early evening, it is interveners, witnesses, testimony. In the evenings, that's when the public has an opportunity to come voice, their opinion about the project, whether they are in favor or in opposition, the reasons why. And typically you get 2 to 3 minutes to speak in front of the commissioners. All of this into their considerations. So the topics that are going to be discussed are, water resources, which frankly, our proposed protection of all the water resources around us are state of the art in any industry, let alone just mining. Financial viability, tribal impacts, natural character, fish and wildlife, outdoor economy, socioeconomics, consistency with the CLUP, which is the comprehensive land use plan, and kind of discuss this plan development rezoning criteria, and then existing uses and resources. So then what happens after the hearing? So once it's done, the commissioners have 90 days to deliberate. You can continue to write in public comment. So they get a lot of feedback from the public, and it's super important that they read and comprehend all of the feedback. Decisions made based on the majority vote by those 9 commissioners. And after the final, hopefully positive deliberation, and we're able to move on and apply to the DEP for baseline work. And I think it's important to note that if we're approved for rezoning, that doesn't necessarily mean that, yep, you're approved for mining. It's really just, yep, you're approved to do studies. And then we apply for what those studies need to be. That goes to the public again for interest and intervention. Once the study program is approved, then we have 2 to 3 years worth of execution to get through it. kind of went pretty quick. I wasn't sure how much time I had, but I'm certainly open to answer any questions, offer any clarities. And I appreciate you allowing me to chat today.
Thank you very much. Anybody from the council have any questions for Jeremy or Council Bragg?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the second time I've got to see a presentation from you guys, and I was super impressed the first time, just like I am now. I'm
you.
sure you guys will have tons of comments and questions coming up in the foreseeable future, as probably you already have. And maybe even some tonight, but I applaud your guys' work and I appreciate you guys picking us and even keeping us in the loop on things that are going on. Thank you.
Thank you
Anybody
very
else?
much.
I appreciate, again, I echo Council Bragg, and I appreciate the fact that you kept us informed on this. Going to be an interesting discussion moving forward, shall we say. Yeah, I'm trying to pick my words kindly here. It's going to be an
Yeah.
interesting discussion.
It certainly will be. We are looking forward to it, one way or another, really.
And I'm sure that, like I say, there should be some interesting back and forth. I appreciate the fact that you came. I appreciate the fact you've given us the information. Is there anything that you're possibly looking from us? There was the magic question. Certainly.
Yeah, so my name is Jonathan, by the way. Jeremy, great job, by the way. And I live in Dover Foxcroft. I come to the Magic City a couple of times a week, meeting with as many people as I can and really trying to educate the public on, this process that is coming up in your town, October 16th, 17th, and 18th. There'll be a huge influx of people coming in. I'm sure the opposition will be some people in, keeping you informed of what is happening, what is going on. It's something that I do every day. Town manager's been great. He's been great about meeting with us. He has my contact information. So if anybody wants to sit down, the Appalachian Trail Cafe, I've drank a lot of coffee over there over the last month or two. So love to meet with anybody who had any questions, concerns, or, just wanted to chat about the project. We're available. Again, I'm up here in Millinocket a couple of times, still working through Lincoln and obviously up in Aroostook County also. So, but would love to, answer any questions anybody has.
How many communities have you reached out to for this?
Geez, Jeremy, where do we start? So the communities that, surround the project, in around Patton, from Mount Chase to Patton, all the way up through from Holton, Mars Hill, up to Presque Isle, Caribou, and then far south at this point, we've gone as far south as Waterville, up through Bangor. I live in Dover Foxcroft, so, I'm a loudmouth, in my town. So I, talk to people about it, there, but, trying to spend time, trying to be as efficient as we can. I came this past winter and spoke at the Snowmobile Club meeting here in Millinocket, and ATV clubs, Millinocket, the Snowmobile Club. Oh, sorry, my bad, sorry. Do I need to go on a diet? Is that what you're telling me? So trying to just be as efficient as we can with large groups of people whenever we can, find the time, and, just trying to meet with business owners and that sort of stuff. So we've been, I'm a one-man operation most days. Jeremy is able to come across, fairly often, so he's able to come over and assist with me. We kind of we tackle it, and but we would love to sit down with anybody who has any questions, even if it's just if you want to ask questions or throw rocks at me, either way, that's fine too. I do have people in opposition who just want to come and talk to me. That's okay. Like, I'm here to, we're as transparent as we can be. We're trying to be as open and communicating to the public of what's happening, what's going on.
I appreciate your candor, and I also appreciate the fact that you're trying to go ahead and keep an open dialogue going back and forth. Anybody else with anything, council? No, it looks like thank you very much for coming tonight and.
No, thank you
for the
again.
Presentation, and
Yes.
we wish you the best.
Jeremy, thank you.
very much.
We have a situation where we did not. So that, yeah, all right. So we're all set? Thank you very much. All right. Having presentation, let's move right on to the manager's report.
Well, evening. Well, I had prepared to say quite a bit this evening, and I think I still will. It will still be just a portion of what's submitted, and available to view online. So I, as always, encourage folks to visit millinocket.org and read through these entire reports. We always have a lot more submitted than gets spoken about during. From my office, just a heads up to those out there. Keeping with the ongoing agreement with town and the school, we superintendent, the business manager, and I will all be giving our financial updates, our quarterly financial updates. School, and then myself, it'll take place of my manager's report that evening. That'll be October 12th. We will give general updates on the financial health of both the school department and the town's municipal side of the budget. So for all of those interested, feel free to join in. So many of you have noticed that the front entrance of the municipal building has been closed recently. And you know, as the saying goes, when it rains, it pours. We're noticing that this building is failing. It's falling down around us in some ways, literally outside. So we just within the past couple of months have finished the roof repair of that awning, with the expectation that down the road, our public works crew would be able to repair the underside of it. We did not expect it to happen immediately. And we're not prepared for that to happen immediately, but large chunks of that cement or plaster material have begun to fall, let go of what's above it. Little side note about that roof repair, when the Panel brothers were here doing that repair, they discovered a lot more rot with the structure than they had expected. So they did have to extend the job and provide a lot more material than expected. And today I received the increased amount and invoice to agree to, so I'll be planning to bring that to the council at our next meeting. The difference in price was a total of about $1,800. So given that I actually climbed up there and saw what they were looking at, I was relieved that it was only $1,800. Much worse than I expected, and something that I was dealing with daily at this point. I am pleased that, as an update, it's not printed in this report, but between the submission of this report and now, have, together with our public works director and local contractor Rick Lax, have a plan to remove the remaining material and should be able to open the front entrance again early next week. I'd really like to express huge gratitude and thanks to Rick for volunteering his equipment, his time, and his effort at no cost to the town to just help us work through that. He cares very much about our town and the future of it, and is always willing to help in any way he can. So he's really helping us out of a bind here, so we can get that opened as soon as possible. It will not look pretty for a while we figure out how we can button up the underside of that. It will be open. So just know that. The end of that job is, is to be determined, but very appreciative of Brian Dupre and Rick Lax and their efforts on that, and that of our public works crew. So thank them for that. I have on here that I was expecting to share an announcement regarding the Skeeto project. I didn't receive any comment on my little mark there on the bottom. I expected something, at least from Councilor Madore. The Skeeto project has been fully funded. The total price tag, as a reminder, for this project was $55,000. We started with a $10,000 Winter Kids Grant Award that was that our Community Initiatives Director got for the town. And then the town council allowed us the use of $22,500 from our local American Rescue Plan Act funding. And now the final $22,500 to complete the 55 has been awarded to Todd and Area Trails in partnership with the town of Millinocket from the Penobscot County Commissioners. So, big thanks to Commissioner Marshall for his advocacy in helping that come to fruition. We will be working with Katahdin Area Trails to finish that project. And just for those who may not know exactly what I'm talking about, we intend to place a rope tow back over at the Skeeto to take you from the bottom to the top. It will be accompanied by a new building structure over in that area. We'll be running electricity to the building and providing heat source in there. We have intentions of being able to provide some part-time staff similar to how we arrange the skating rink during school vacations, weekends throughout the winter. Final plan is yet to be determined on that. I don't expect this to be done before the snow flies, so this is a next winter kind of thing. Winter of 24-25 is what we're expecting. But this will be a really cool resource for our community, and it's great to see it all coming together. We've been pushing this for quite a while with lots of determination. So appreciate all that came along out of it and the support of the council along the way. I'm going to dive into some departments now. B&B Paving has completed the requesting paving for the town over the summer. Most recently, that was a delayed project in many ways because of the rain and the recent downpours. The Public Works crew is working now to finish up some of the cleanup around the edges of that pavement. Scraping away the larger rocks and things. They were set back by some of the most recent storms, but they're also working on looming and seeding some of those tree belt areas that were damaged during the process. So we hope, by the time the snow melts, we'll be able to, those will look as good as new. The new aerial truck that was built into the capital improvement budget was expected to be delivered in September. It is the end of September, so it'll be wonderful if it shows up in the next couple of days, but I expect it very soon. As a segue, that will allow us the ability to mount the new signs that we have sitting in the hut over there for Delahanty Field, for Carmen Burgali Playground, and for the baseball field. So those have all been are ready to be replaced, and the signs have been delivered. They're made out of metal now. So and whatever treatment is added to that so it doesn't deteriorate. as fast as the wooden ones have over time. These should last just about forever. And we are very excited to replace those. They're all in very poor condition, and one of them is very special to me and my family, as Wally Delahanty was my grandfather. We'd also like to thank Steve Jacobs very much for his career with the town of Millinocket. Has completed his work with the town of Millinocket and is retiring after 24 years of serving on our public works crew. He is going to be some big shoes to fill. So his skill sets and licenses that he held on that team. I'm pleased to say that our bond for the wastewater main pump station upgrade was approved. I have signed the acceptance letter and look forward to getting that project going. The exact timeline is yet to be determined. The bond process took much longer than expected, given some questions around legal standings and finances, but we were able to work through it and happy to have that work coming along. Out of the town treasurer's department, I'm happy to say that the revenue receipts as of September are over 500,000, which represents 3 months, and that is about 30% of the fiscal budget. And that is quite favorable at this time of the year. So very pleased about that and hope that that trend continues throughout the rest of the fiscal year. Out of the code enforcement office, Sean has been working very closely with owners and developers to finalize planning board approval for several projects, including the Oxford Street project, Abenaki Public Health and Wellness. That project moves forward. Handled 56 citizens complaints over the last month. I assure you that's a portion of the phone calls that come in. It's amazing how much actually can get done in that office. Certainly compared to how many of those phone calls are actually not meant to be handled in the code office, and are actually civil dispute neighbors, and certainly a lot of education happening at that office. Completed additional work on the online permitting process. That will be functional very soon. The rest of the team in the code and assessing office started their training on that program just this morning. So we're happy to see that coming along. I'm happy to squash some rumors that are floating around about our code enforcement officer. There are several floating around. No, Sean has not been fired by the town of Millinocket. Yes, he is leaving the position, unfortunately. However, fortunately, he's not leaving the team of Millinocket altogether, joining our fire and EMS team full-time starting next week. I do have a great deal of appreciation for the positive impact that he's made on that, on the effectiveness and the efficiency of that department while his time during his time in the code enforcement office, albeit brief. His work was incredibly helpful. We're all very happy that he'll be continuing on with the team and just across the alley. His knowledge and skill sets there will still be very helpful in a voluntary capacity. There will be no time where we don't have access to get questions answered and a little bit of guidance while we seek out a new plan. We will begin a search for a new code enforcement officer at some point. I am not in a rush to do that. I believe that with the new methods and approach from that office, I believe that right now we're going to be okay for a while. the meantime, we'll be swearing in Mr. Don Malcolm as our temporary CEO. And between him and Tracy, our new part-time employee in that office, I'm confident they can hold down the fort. Tracy's also had a huge impact on the productivity of the code and assessing office. And both of them have learned a great deal from Sean in the past few months. So I think we're good for a while there. And I assure those out there that when we do enter the search and seek out a new code enforcement officer, that will be very, very careful process and selection to be made given our track record with code enforcement officers. It is not an ideal line of work. You're not making friends as a code enforcement officer. Will tend to treat you very poorly. And we hope that we can find the perfect fit sooner than later. The airport's 16th annual fly-in and cruise-in and barbecue takes place on October 7th. That's always a good time up there with some cool planes and helicopters flying in and cool old cars and new cars and a lot of great conversation and hot dogs. The upcoming election, as a reminder, the candidates for town council are Jane Danforth, Gail Mackin, Louis Pelletier, and Liz Stratton. The candidates for school board are Julie Madore, Tom Malcolm, and Don Raymond. The absentee ballots, if I'm reading this correct, will be available in the beginning of October in the office, Diana. If all goes well, we would probably not be surprised if there was a wrench thrown in the mix at some point, given the way the world works today. But please get out and vote. There will be a candidates night at Stearns High School Library on October 9th. That'll, I believe, be available on Zoom. More to come on that. The EMPD tosses in some information here that 7,390 calls have been serviced to date this year. 3,650 of those are for the town of Millinocket. Officer Clayton and K9 Derby have begun their first phase of K9 training. And that is expected to be completed just after Thanksgiving. I've had the great privilege of meeting Derby. He's not allowed to pet the dog. I understand that's a barrier before training with a canine, but cute as hell, and I hope that that it works out the best for that department. They've also begun planning around the Millinocket Marathon, which will take place in just a couple of months. Look forward to working with Penobscot Emergency Management and providing a safe and fun event that weekend. In the Millinocket Memorial Library report that's usually attached, great stuff in there. I think to me the standout was the redevelopment of a room within the lower level of the facility that will be turned into a community lounge in the earlier parts of the day, and then after school it will turn into a teen lounge where teens from the community will have a safe and comfortable place to go and hang out with some fun stuff to do after school. Continue to do great work over there and offer great things for our community. FYI for the future, Diana will be back on October 26th for the library's quarterly update to the council. Forward to seeing them. That's it for me tonight. Any questions or comments? I'm happy to take them.
Anybody have any questions, on the manager's report? Council Bragg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not a question, more of a comment. Just want to thank Steve for his service and dedication to the town. It is greatly appreciated. And by the sounds of the Public Works, they also appreciate your hard work. Thank you.
Anybody else? Well, I will go ahead and also throw a thank you in there for our people at Public Works and for Rick Lax for our issues out here out in the front entrance. I think that type of cooperation to take care of a situation that wasn't anticipated or planned for, I think really speaks volumes. The fact that how quickly our Public Works Department and that can pivot and switch from one job to another and quickly to go ahead and alleviate a problem. I also want to say, thank you to Steve Jacobs for his years with the town. Heavy equipment operator, you're not going to find a better one. Good, jack of all trades out there. I know certainly when it comes down to some of the rebuilds that they've done over the course of the years on equipment out there to try to save the town some money, his expertise was greatly appreciated out there to do that. Mr. Manager, do you know, I didn't see it necessarily in the report for the library, but I see the EV chargers are out front. You know when those are going to be operational?
For the library?
Hmm.
I do not.
I see that they're out there. I just haven't see whether they were functional or
I
not.
do know that, with the work that we are trying to do on our end to wrap up and get those installed and get that project awarded, there is a lack of availability of a very important piece that needs, and I'm no electrician, so I can't tell you what it is. But there's a lack of availability. Gilman Electric and other places being able to obtain that piece. So I would anticipate it's a similar problem that they have over at the library. Might be delaying their being able to be operated. Don't quote me on that. It's just a hunch.
I also want to go ahead and say welcome aboard for another position within the town, Malcolm. It seems like you just can't get enough of working around, and I can't wait to see what you do in this venue as far as but thank you for stepping up and filling the CEO spot. Moving forward, at least on a temporary basis. Town appreciates your service. Also exciting news about the Skeeto. I think that's going to be a big hit with once it's fully operational. I think it's going to be a big hit. I think it's very well utilized. I think it's part of revitalizing that end of the complex. And like I say, I hope that it will be as much fun in the present as it was previously. So it was there and enjoyed it constantly during the wintertime, back before most of you were born. I'm sorry, but true. Anything from the public on the manager?
Mr. Chairman, if I could just add,
Watch
I know
yourself.
there's been, I know,
Watch it.
I'm not gonna add a point of clarification, I'll tell you that much, and I won't reiterate anything. There's been some technical difficulties this evening, and I understand some folks were trying to access an invalid link, and then Facebook Live is operational on our computer here, but it doesn't seem to be connected to our page. Matt and I tried to look at that a little while ago, and our video is seemingly not working. We're not entirely sure what happened. It was functional, prior to the meeting start. But I also want to point out, just in case it comes up, because things come up, there are 2 accounts in the waiting room right now. They have 1 letter represented as their name. We require actual names to be let in, and there has been a lot of really bizarre and nasty Zoom bombing going on lately in the southern part of the state, so I'm choosing not to allow access to those accounts at this point in time. I hope that I have the support of those around if you catch wind of any rumors of being denied into
I appreciate your candor, and I also appreciate the fact that I'd rather be safe than sorry situation. You never can tell what's out there, and the internet is a wonderful tool, but also can be.
We've had.
Yeah. Yeah, moving along here. Alrighty, Council McGowan, can I please have you read order number 226-2023?
He asked for.
I
public
asked for it.
comment.
Well, the manager.
No, I'd already asked. We're all set.
Okay. Order number 226-2023, providing for execution of the town warrant for September 28th, 2023. It is ordered that the town warrant for September 28th, 2023 in the amount of $179,965.22 is hereby approved.
Second.
Motion made by Council McGowan, second by Council Danforth. Council McGowan, any big hitters on that one?
Yeah, there are several actually. 7,415 to Bloomer Russell and Bopayne. That's for legal services. 54,268.59 to Hoyle Tanner and Associates. That's for the airport runway. And it was my understanding that's the final payment on that, Mr. Manager?
which one?
The Hoyle Tanner and Associates, or was that another one?
No,
The
Scratch
Arcadia-
that.
the Arcadia design work is
That's what
the
it
final
was.
payment on the design.
My mix
There.
up. Okay.
This is the master plan work.
3,342.59 to Maine Municipal Association, that is for unemployment. $10,000 to the Millinocket Historical Society, that was the money that we allocated at the last meeting to give to them. 31,250 to Millinocket Memorial Library, that is part of their payment, quarterly payment. 20,376.67 to the town of East Millinocket. That's our recreation contract. 11,495.81 to Versant Power, that is electricity. And then on the back, that's the one I was talking about, 30,468.93 to Arcadia Design Works for the airport terminal.
Thank you. Any council discussion on the warrant? For the public? Back to the council, all those in favor? Unanimous. Council Pelletier, could I please have you read order 227-2023?
Order 227-2023, providing for execution of the wastewater warrant for September 28th, 2023. It is ordered that the wastewater warrant for September 28th, 2023 in the amount of $13,415.62 is hereby approved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Pelletier, second by Councilor Bragdon. Council Pelletier, any big hitters on this one?
$3,259 for Bloomer Russell Bopayne. That's a wastewater bond. And Stanley's Auto Center. No, not that was voided, excuse me. Versant Power, $8,289.12.
Thank you. Any council comment on the order? The public? Back to the council, all those in favor? Unanimous. Council McGowan, can I please have you read order 228-2023?
Yes. Order number 228-2023, providing for execution of the prior year town warrant for September 28th, 2023. It is ordered that the prior year town warrant for September 28th, 2023 in the amount of $37,096.68 is hereby approved.
Second.
Motion made by Council McGowan, second by Council Bragdon. Any council discussion? Any big hitters on that one, Council McGowan?
Well, it's just one,
That-
one heavy hitter.
That kind of narrows it down.
And that again is to Hoyle, Tanner and Associates for the airport runway.
Any council comment? Public? Back to the council, all in favor? Unanimous. I'm not gonna let you read this one, Councilor Danforth. Councilor Higgins, will you please read order 229-2023?
Thank you. Order 229-2023, providing for the approval of the proposed amendments to the cemetery rules and regulations. Whereas the cemetery committee has identified the need to amend the town of Millinocket's cemetery rules and regulations policy, and whereas the attached policy was adopted at the May 11th, 2023 Millinocket Cemetery Commission meeting and seeks approval from the commission's recommendations to amend the rules and regulations cemetery policy, it is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council approves the most recently adopted rules and regulations policy of the Millinocket Municipal Cemetery and accepts the attached policy as amended.
Have a second?
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Higgins, second by Councilor Danforth. Any council comment on the order? Down to the public? Back to the council. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Councilor Bragdon, can I please have you all read order 230-2023?
Order 230-2023, providing for approval for unassigned fund balance transfer to FY 23 budget. Whereas FY 23 state municipal review sharing receipts were is $453,278.48 favorable to the fiscal year 23 budget. Therefore, it is ordered that $37,872.61 is transferred from R0101-0900 General Government State Municipal Revenue Sharing to increase the following departments to offset fiscal year 23 department overruns. Community Service Department E0206-$1,246.84. Fringe Benefits Department E0300, $32,804.18 payout of retirement benefits. And General Assistance Department E0815, $3,821.59.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Bragdon, seconded by Councilor McGowan. Council discussion on the order? Out to the public. Back to the council. All those in favor? Unanimous. Councilor McGowan, can I please have you read order 321-2023? 231, thank you. Very good.
Order number 231-2023, providing for acceptance of the Northern Forest Center Subrecipient Award. Whereas the town of Millinocket was awarded a subrecipient award from the Northern Forest Center through the EDA, U.S. Endowment for Forestry and Communities Fund in the amount of $25,000 to incorporate mass timber into the design of the Katahdin Regional Airport Terminal. It is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council approves the acceptance of $25,000 from the Northern Forest Center to incorporate mass timber into the design of the Katahdin Regional Airport Terminal building.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor McGowan, second by Councilor Danforth. Any council discussion on the order? I, for one, want to go ahead and thank the people from the Northern Forest Center for the award of this grant to be able to go ahead and incorporate mass timber into the building of our airport terminal. When it comes around, I think it's going to be great to use natural products locally grown here to be able to go ahead and that part. So with that, any other council discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Ms.
I just want to add that very grateful of the work of the Community Initiatives Director and Pat Santerre at Acadia Design Work for aiding in the process of getting through this. This was a pretty complicated thing to maneuver through. And they both did a wonderful job working with the Northern Forest Center on that. It could not have come at a better time. There was a very urgent funding restraint, given the unexpected price next to the engineering work of Haley Ward, with their partnership with the Arcadia Design Work on that work. So we're kind of up against the wall there, and this opportunity came up, and Amber and Pat, Northern Forest Center, just absolutely crushed it. So this really is has a big impact, that project. So very thankful.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Any other council comment? Public? Back to the council. All those in favor? Unanimous. Council Bragdon, will you please read order 232-2023?
Order number 232-2023, providing for approval of street closures for Crushing Cancer Parade. It is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council approves the following street closures for the Crushing Cancer Parade. Close Penobscot Avenue, as well as all side streets going onto Penobscot Avenue from Central Street to Katahdin Avenue on Saturday, October 14th, 2023, from 7 a.m. to the conclusion of the parade. No,
Nope. Get the note in there.
no, request from the Health and Safety Officer attached.
Motion made by Council Bragdon, second by Councilor Hagan. Go ahead adamantly. Any council discussion on the order? Seeing none, public. Back to the council. All those in favor? It's unanimous. All righty. Reports and communication, warrant committee for the October 12th, 2023 meeting will be Councilor Bragdon and Councilor Danforth. Councilor Bragdon?
I will be out of town for those 3 days, so I will probably not be available to do that.
I'll take it.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Higgins.
When I was out, so.
Yep, that's very good. Thank you very much. So it'll be Councilor Bragdon and Councilor Higgins. Any chair committee reports? Councilor Pelletier. You're gonna keep getting renominated too, hush.
Yeah.
Councilor Pelletier, go right ahead.
Well, our last charter review committee, we finished the proofreading of our suggestion changes made with the charter. And I've reviewed it to get some items here that seem to be meaningful, but we have like 7, 8 at the most change. Yeah, everything else is grammar, gender, really no significance. And I really question whether these will be significant enough to rise to the level of a revision. I think they'll be treated as amendments and end up being passed through the council and public hearings here. We'll see what legal says on that. And this is where we need some clarification. The second part, general legislation of the code, is how the positions in administration carries out the charter. So there's job descriptions in there and everything. I don't believe that's something we should be doing. Maybe what we submitted for changes be checked by legal and update that portion of the code. I can go through these changes if you'd like, that might be of interest, but I think we're far away from that kind of a discussion, as the process is well known to be. These are suggestions that will be, again, gone through by either the council and public hearings, or a commission or a revision, if that's what it amounts to.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's potential that we might be having a discussion in a council meeting in the very near future on the topics that we discussed through that email chain that me, you,
Like
and
change some of these suggestions you're saying?
no, not change them, bring them to the council. So like present them to the council, the 7
Sure.
major changes.
We could do that. We could work that up in the next meeting, or
We've already been talking about it. So from what I understand, so I agree that we should come up with an exact date for a council meeting. I'd prefer the next one, but I mean, that's always up in the air. Me personally, I want to thank the public members and the school for reaching out and being
Coming
involved.
across.
There weren't very many public members that were participating, but the ones that did were very valuable and I appreciate their time.
I assume that we can,
So
with
you,
Council Pelletier or Council Bragdon and the manager, get that on the agenda at the next meeting if possible.
and then we can decide whether to
And
move
we
on.
can decide, yes.
Okay,
And I've made this very clear from the start. I have a master copy of all the changes that we've made. I am gonna take some consideration in and add a watermark to it so everyone understands it is a draft. But it's available to anybody who asks me. I've sent it to the entire council to be available to them to review before we have that discussion on the council level. But any public member who wants a copy of the changes, it's already public. I have it. I've shared it with multiple people already. You're more than welcome to it.
sure. Yeah, it's just been a public document since we worked on it in committee.
Very good. Any other chair committee reports? Seeing none, we'll go down now into the 2-minute public comment. This is the time when you can ask the council or make comments about anything and everything in the community. Anybody from the public now wishes to go ahead and have anything to say in the public comment section? Seeing none, looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Just 1 second.
Redacted.
Yes, Councilor Higgins.
Is it okay if I speak now? I've got a couple questions from that people have talked to me about, and I don't know. if
Oh, certainly.
You want to bring it up?
Yeah,
now.
you can do.
I've had a couple people come forward and they were talking about, with the people that are coming through for the reevaluations. Will we know they're gonna have placards and everything. Some of the concern is letting especially some of the older residents of the town, an ID, and that we can actually present to them saying, okay, this person is working according to the order that we passed today, working for the town. Just so they're not, I'm assuming that some of these people are strangers to the town that these people might not recognize. So that's one of the concerns that they've got.
And it's a legitimate concern. I'm not gonna, I would say that it is a legitimate concern. But certainly, I assume every caution will be taken and everything will be done so that these people will have plenty of identification on them. Let the people know that they are working for the town of Millinocket. Manager.
I'm sorry, yes, absolutely. Each of them carry a photo ID badge branded Town of Millinocket, listing agent or assessor's agent or whichever, I don't remember the title on the printed on the thing. Their cars are identified with magnetic placards. I believe we even have their license plates listed either on the website or somewhat recently in the newspaper. We've done everything I think we can to make their presence known, and they don't have to allow them in your homes. They're not trying to come in your homes. You have no trespassing. There's a few different beliefs on this, but they likely won't enter the property to do it. The house will be assessed at the value that the assessor sees fit, and then can be challenged later on. But long-winded answer for your question, but yes, they will also have photo badges hanging around their neck, branded with the Millinocket logo and that sort of thing.
I know there was some of the older residents were concerned about that. Was one thing they asked. And then about some of the businesses had been receiving some of the door tags already. And I noticed that some people have gated. They can't get to one side of the house. How are they gonna evaluate the other side, or are they just gonna go off? If they're not going through the house.
They're gonna go to the best of their abilities.
Okay. Thank you.
That's certainly not an invasive process and not a forced entry type of situation by any means.
Thank you.
I take care of your question. Okay, very good. Thank you very much. All right,
Counselor McGowan had a question, I think.
have something?
Well, I just wanted to make a comment. They're not, it's my understanding, they're not going inside the home. They'll just be outside the home. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, they may attempt to knock on the door, and ask,
Question.
predetermined questions about the interior, which, is the homeowner's or property owner's choice to answer. If nobody's home, they will leave, that list of questions, in the doorway. And, you know, it's certainly helpful for the property owner to respond with the answer to those questions. It helps us get the most accurate valuation and information into our systems and treat the entire community in the most fair way to get the most fair valuations throughout the community. But no, they won't be entering your home.
Very good. Counselor Bragdon.
Coincidentally, the Charter Review Committee came across a very wonderful brochure on reevaluation for the state of Maine, and I have a copy if anybody is interested. But it will detail everything that the state requires, because there's been comments, and I've received comments on why we're even doing it. It's state mandated. If you have any questions, you can go on the State of Maine website. It's available.
Thank you. Anyone else? Looking, Counselor Pelletier. All right, looking for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Council Bragdon, second by Councilor Danforth. All those in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.